Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the morning after. I am your host, Charlene Joint, and today we are recapping episode 8 of season 15 of The Bachelorette. And as you guys know, I start off every the morning after with a Buzziest Moment, and this is brought to you by Starbucks Coffee at Home, which you can get at your local grocery store. And a Buzziest Moment, as you guys know by now, is something that sort of stood out to me and that I just want to talk about. And today's Buzziest Moment, and this was sort of an easy moment to miss, it felt like it went by kind of fast, but it was when Hannah was talking to Jed about her feelings. This is before she said I love you to him, but it was when she was talking about how she's holding back because she's having a hard time wrangling her emotions and feelings from multiple people. I thought this was really interesting because you don't usually get a lead confessing to feeling things for other people pretty much until the last episode when they break up with their runner-up. Usually they're not that frank about it, and I really like how she was like, I have feelings for multiple people here, I'm holding back. And I just really like that she shared this, because leads don't usually do that. And I found it also relatable as a lead can be, because something I always struggle with is, they're leading people on, like, are they really not thinking down the road when they're gonna have to break up with this person? But it's also kind of like they're contractually obliged to do that. And so I just like that she sort of gave us a little peek behind the curtain on the emotional journey that a lead goes through, and how they juggle compartmentalizing their multiple relationships. This really stood out to me. I really loved her honesty. And yeah, that was this week's Buzziest Moment. So, you guys know by now that I go through in chronological order. And so we'll start off with Jed's one-on-one. So this episode, as much as I kind of have lukewarm feelings about this episode, I enjoyed it because I got to watch this with Andy. I've been out of town a lot, and I haven't gotten to really sit down and watch many episodes with him. And so his first observation, it was a good one. He was like, aren't all the guys just going to get sick now? And because Hannah was clearly sick. And I was like, oh my God, that's totally true. And it's funny because we didn't encounter that on my season, but I just wonder what they do to prevent that from happening. Hannah, obviously the big thing that happened here was Hannah telling Jed that she is falling in love with him. And what I liked here was that it was framed in the clicking of the heels story, because I do think that realizing you love someone usually does involve kind of a silly sounding or, a moment that was not as momentous as you would think, but it's just something where you just look at the person and you're like, oh my God. And so I really believed her when she said this. It felt a little early, given there's still so many guys there, she hasn't even done hometowns. But even this felt, I wrote in my notes, like a Hannah-ism, like her transparency, like it's not like her to wait until the proper episode to tell him that she's falling in love with him. So I liked it. I like that she did this. Part of me is like, oh, they're always upping the ante. It's like, oh, now we can't wait till final 3 episodes for the lead to say that he or she is falling in love. It's like, now is episode 7, 8. But nonetheless, it felt completely authentic. It did not feel like she was playing it up. So I was into it. Okay, Tyler gets his one-on-one. He reveals that he's freaked out by horses. Shocking that they're on horseback. I talk about this every week. I really like Tyler. I really like that he came out and said it like it was. He talked about how the canceled cocktail parties are really affecting her at least as much, if not more, than the guys. She's the one, they all like her plenty. Of course they want time with her, but she is also the one that needs it. I like that he leveled the playing field here and made it as much about how she needs that time as them, instead of time with her always being withheld from the guys as like some sort of punishment. I really like that he just came out and said this. Interestingly, Hannah did not really, I don't know if her reaction was taken from a different moment, maybe that was editing, but she was just like she didn't respond. She didn't give that moment, I think, the credit it deserved. Okay, in the evening, another moment stood out to me. Hannah specified what in her parents' relationship she admires and what she doesn't. This, gosh, I cannot believe these people. They're so young. They're so young. When I was 24, I was not like, my parents communicate like this. In my husband one day, I want like XYZ. It's not that I wasn't thinking about it. I still was just sort of dating. I don't know. I'm so impressed that how observant she is and just how much thought she's put into, like obviously you want someone with whom you're compatible. The level of thought that she's put in at such a young age, I was really like, I don't know if I'm impressed by it. I kind of want I want everyone to sort of enjoy their youth while they can. But yeah, she clearly has put a ton of thought into that for a very young age. Okay, Connor. So it becomes obvious that Mike gets that third one-on-one date. Interestingly, Connor's the one that explodes here, or not explodes, but he rather implodes. He understandably is upset. I mean, he was the very first one-on-one date recipient of the season. He was due for his one-on-one. That said, it's not surprising that he didn't get it. Or that he went home ultimately. He just seems too passive for Hannah. Like, her big thing with the guys is boldness and like going after what they want. I don't care how tall you are, like it's obvious that she needs someone who makes a point of like seeking her out and reminding her how he feels. And I think Connor is simply too passive. He's too passive for this environment, at least with someone with her needs and personality. Interestingly, Connor was the one who was upset, but I actually think it was Peter who was robbed of this one-on-one because, and now we'll get to Mike's one-on-one, I found this date patronizing, and I don't think anyone's going to disagree with me here. It was truly stolen from Peter. I get that they like to have someone get sent home on a one-on-one date. Like Hannah was that person last season. I realized that. But we know that Hannah and Mike have a friendship. They don't have a romantic situation. Andy hasn't watched the season at all, and he's like, oh, she's totally phoning it in. And it's like, yeah, she is. She's not. She doesn't look at him with heart eyes. That's simply the truth. She doesn't give him romance. And so it just, these kinds of dates, it's not a surprise that he's going home. And I just sort of wish that we had seen more between her and Peter, because I could have used more information on this episode and less of just things we knew were going to happen. And we all knew Mike was going to get sent home before hometown week. It was just a given. It was a given based on their chemistry. And again, I love Hannah's honesty. She's looking at the art and bawling, and she makes it about the art. Like, yes, the art was very beautiful, but it's clear that she really struggles with, she's a lot of guilt in sending these guys home who she's clearly led on. And I really like that she is like shaking while she does it. I do feel like you kind of should be like that, because you did lead them on to a great, like, that's not up for debate. Like, she absolutely led every one of the guys that she let home this week on, and so I appreciate that she was as upset about doing it as she was, if that makes any sense. Oh, okay. Finally, we get to the group date. The big thing here, obviously, is Garrett versus Luke. We all knew Peter was getting that first group date rose. So the Garrett versus Luke, I talked about this last week in my Pretty Pandas recap, that I was always expecting a 2-on-1 between the two of them, and look, I got my 2-on-1. What I like here is about how Garrett methodically picks apart whether or not Hannah actually, specifically, asked about him to Luke. What I like about this is it shows that he's learned his lesson. You cannot have any gray area when you're dealing with Luke. You need specificity, and it's like, did she ask X, Y, Z? It has to be so specific, and of course then he catches Luke in his lie, but what does it matter, because Luke is always lying. Everything he says is a lie. I have some issues with this date. I don't want to spoil my Flair recap too much, but let's be honest, it was Hannah who told the guys to stay in their own lanes. She was the original one who said this. And apparently the rules don't apply to Luke, because he totally did not stay in his lane. In his precious one-on-one time with her, he starts talking about Garrett and the other guys. And this is painful. I mean, Hannah, of all people, should know how difficult it is to be civil and nice to Luke, because he is so difficult to deal with. And what also I found weird was how she ended up twisting this on Garrett in some weird way. She, apparently, according to her, it's better to be outwardly rude to someone you don't like, better than to just be, like, cold and removed and civil with them. Give me a break. I mean, we watched Hannah live with Kaylin for months last season. I mean, it's not like she was like, I hate you, bitch. Like, come on. She was also, it's coexisting with her. And so if we didn't already know she was going to send Garrett home, it was clear she was going to at that moment. she is taking Luke's side pretty much every time, at every turn. And Garrett, you know, he was robbed here, obviously, but I'm not surprised. I didn't see the same chemistry here that she has with the top 3 guys, but it was still like the way she sent him home when he really did open up to her this season. It kind of felt a little unfair. Poor Garrett. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for the morning after. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to read my Flare recap, which will come out soon, and then my Pretty Pandas recap, which will come out later in the week. And yes, I'll see you guys here next week on the morning after.